I went through all those trials and tribulations. It started building Bookham, right? I was going through the refining process. So we're like diamonds. And where do diamonds come from? They come from some of the most treacherous grounds, caves, dark places, right? They don't come out shining. We can't just go buy them.
There's no diamond trees.
Exactly. So I was being refined.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
And that kind of changed it. Started the revolution in my life.
Can I give you a theory?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, my theory is, so I was watching this guy who interviewed James Baker in prison. I don't know if you remember James Baker.
No.
He was at the PLO. It was a big ministry, and he was stealing money.
Tammy Faye Baker.
With him and Tammy Faye Baker, they were stealing money. They both went to prison. And this guy's interviewing James Baker in prison. And he asked James Baker something like, when did you stop loving Jesus? That's what he says. And James Baker says, no, you got it all wrong. I always loved Jesus. I just never feared God. All right, and it wasn't until he got caught that he caught God's wrath, And it sounds like something like that with you, where I'm sure you love Jesus and you love, but you never feared God. You were hanging out in all sorts. In that moment, that'll put the fear of God in you.
100%.
Got that right.
Yeah. So where did you go from there when you started going to church? What happened with your life? I'm sure you're not going to lose your love for rap.
No. I was still rapping. I was still, I started doing some rap for the church, positive rap, Christian rap, and I gave my life to God. I was on what they call on fire for God. It got to the point where my life had like a radical change, where I went from, a young kid smoking weed, hanging out with the wrong crowd, being around these type of individuals, to saying, you know what? I'm going to do something positive. Now, mind you, at this time, I was a high school dropout. I was living in my friend Danny's basement, and he was a DJ, so I would stay in the basement. I would jump house to house. My clothes was in a garbage bag, literally, and I was lost. I was like, what am I going to do? I was 20 years old, so I end up going to get my GED. I'm going to church, right, and doing all the right things. I get my GED at the Adult Education Center in Jersey City. And after that, my whole life changed. And that's why I tell everybody I know God is real. Because the change that my mother tells me this all the time, the generational curse was broken. It's funny you mentioned that, I believe in divine intervention. That was a great question. But my mother says the generational curse was broken with you, because my father's side of the family, like drug abuse, I'm talking about diseases, all different types of things that have took people down. And my mother's like, wow, you just completely on the other. I'm the only cop in my family. You know what I mean?
Well, I actually say generational curses in the opening, which I pre-record. Yeah. And I didn't make that up. I actually stole it from another Puerto Rican. I did. Benny Love.
Shout out to Benny Love, man.
So Benny Love, breaking the chains, breaking generational curses. And when he said that to me, it hit me so hard, because I'd spent my whole life trying to break the generational curses. And he just defined it. That's all he did was, tell me what the definition of it was. And the breaking those generational curses, God, it's essential for you doing anything great in this world. Even if you're destined for it, unless you break that, you're going nowhere.
Yes.
Well, you know what it is too? It takes hard work. Mm-hmm. And some people don't want to work hard. They're stuck in that rut. Like we say with, post-traumatic stress, you get so comfortable in that hole, you don't feel like getting out. Mm-hmm. So people, and like you said, it's generational. Kids see their parents aren't working, so they're like, oh, I won't have to work either.
I mean, look back to your hip-hop career. Okay, look back to that. Being where you were on that kid on the street corner, trying to become a famous rapper, rather than just to be a rapper that's good and heard and doing what is right. You're looking at, I just want to be that. I don't care. I don't want to go through all the steps. I just want to do that. But it takes a lot of hard work to get there. It takes a lot of self-realization to get there, and a lot of courage. You're starting to build that courage up now with your newfound life that you started to lead. You notice all these things getting better. You get your GED, start getting your life in order. You're in the church all the time. What's next for you? Now you're starting to think about your life and your career.
Yeah. So once again, God, man, I go to, I get my GED. When I go in, the teacher, Mr. Sharp, Never forget this day. He goes, all right, guys, it's going to take about 10 months for you guys to get your GED. I was deflated. I'm like, oh, my God, 10 months coming here.
I just want to go in and sign a paper.
Exactly.
Thank
I'm
you.
like, I thought this was just like an ASVAB. Take a quick test. I'm in, right? So it was more like deflated. But I put my belief in God. At this time, I was like, completely in ministry. And I said, you know what, God, I'm going to believe in you. And then a miracle happened. A couple weeks later, he comes back. He said, guys, I got good news. You could take a practice test. If you pass the practice test, you're eligible for the GED. I passed it. I got my GED within 3 months.
Crazy.
It's insane. And then from there, I go and I apply for Verizon when they started putting in the fiber cable.
The Fios lines.
Yeah, the Fios. So everything, it's like, how could you not believe in divine intervention? So that happens. I go to an open house that they were having. They were having tests in like hotels. So I take the test, I pass, I get hired as a splicer.
The key component to any law enforcement officer being the best version of themselves is through education. Sherry Alsop is a leader in providing that education to police agencies, preparing them for the all too frequent dealings with sexual assault victims.
You've seen Sherry on episode 169 of the Suffering Podcast. She survived incest and almost daily sexual assault, so she comes from a place of experience and true understanding.
Sherry has the intelligence, commitment, and compassion to open the eyes of those on the front lines, while providing the tools to effectively deal with a difficult situation. Sherry's instruction comes from experience and multiple certifications.
Training with Sherry will offer on-site training, customized schedules, specialized instruction, tailored from a victim's perspective.
You are going to hear Sherry's heart-wrenching but inspiring survivor story. Learn proprietary trauma-informed training techniques, uncovered victim-centered interview methods while earning continuing education credits according to your state guidelines. To be the best, you must learn from the best. Let Sherry also guide you through the delicate cases of sexual assault from a victim's point of view.
Be a source of comfort to those victims affected by these traumatic experiences while producing a solid investigation and uncovering details that often go unnoticed.
To find out more or to contact Sherry Alsop, go to sherryalsop.com. That's SherryAllsup.com.
At the age of 21, I'm making good money. Now I'm like on my feet. It's incredible. And then in the midst of that, the police test comes out, and somebody tells me, hey, Dano, they used to call me Dano. Dano, man, you probably be a good cop, man. Take the test. I take the test, and fast forward 18 years ago, I got on a job with the sheriff's office.
So you're on a street corner with some kids who are futureless, right?
Yep.
You know who I'm talking about too. I don't have to mention any name. They're futureless, and you're a bright kid, and you're trying to play a role as one of them, and to some extent you are because they're your friends.
Yeah.
But you're no dummy. Like you're passing all these. You see what's happening, right? Your intelligence is starting to show through. You're passing the GED in under the time. You're getting hired right away. All these good things are happening. You get the police test. You take your police test. I mean, now when you took the police test, was it like this is my way of impacting, or was it just a job for you?
It was literally job security.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I took the job. I was told, hey, man, pension, 25 years, full benefits at that time.
Yeah.
Full medical, right? Yeah. And that's the reason. And at the time, I was, having my first child, So it was like, at that point, it was like, I was thinking like, okay, I want to be that good father. I want to provide. And, I want to have a career that's respectable, And that's what I was thinking at the time.
Now, once you got into that job, what changed? Something changed in you. You saw something, you did something.
Yeah.
Something got into you.
I was a complete fuck up. Right?
I was going to say that, but you're a lot bigger than I am.
No. So in the beginning, and I say that with no excuses because I hate, it's because it is. And I learned that through reading and researching and really looking deep inside myself, like using excuses to say, well, it's because it is. No. Yeah. But I had no guidance when I got on the job. You have an FTO. You have somebody that says, all right. But, old school mentality, a lot of older guys.
The dinosaurs.
Yes. They're like, oh, God, just keep your head low. This job sucks. And it was very toxic. So I never had a mentor to say, hey, Danny, I was full of piss and vinegar getting on the job. I want to get out there. I want to make a difference. Squared away. At this time, I was 185 pounds, great shape. And I'm like, I want to do the job. I made a lot of mistakes. No criminal mistakes, obviously, but it was a lot of mistakes of trying to do too much, right? And not being effective and not having the proper education and training within law enforcement. So that's how I started messing up. And
because you thought the job was one thing,
yeah,
right? You
yeah.
thought that this was the job. I don't know what year. What do you think, Mike? What year does the job start changing and you start seeing what the job really is?
I was going to say when you get the top pay, probably.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a fair amount.
Start being a lot happier.
Yeah,
That's
you
what.
get a lot of.
Not today. Back then, top pay was like 4 or 5 steps.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little
Oh
different.
yeah. I started. I went through all those trials and tribulations. It started building Bookham, right? I was going through the refining process. So we're like diamonds. And where do diamonds come from? They come from some of the most treacherous grounds, caves, dark places, right? They don't come out shining. We can't just go buy them.
There's no diamond trees.
Exactly. So I was being refined. I was getting cut. I was going through the fire to become Bookham and the Bridges Project that I am today. And through those learning experiences, I'm able to help other cops. I'm able to relate to cops that may be making those mistakes. And also the kids in the community. I made those mistakes as well, so I could relate to you. So that's what Bridges is building a bridge off of understanding, commonality, and trust. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure you had some difficult calls. Where did you get on first? I don't even think.
Hudson County Sheriffs. I've been there my whole career.
Yeah. One job, one place.
Yeah.
Unlike some people who transferred.
I started off.
I tried to transfer, but it didn't work out for me. But that
Most of the people from Hudson tried to transfer to Bergen.
Yeah.
A lot more money.
100%.
That's where I started, Bergen County Sheriff's Office.
Because you got to go to Hoboken every once in a while.
Yeah.
And go down by the water.
The water.
But you probably had some. So what were you assigned to when you first got on?
When I first got on, I was in court division, court bureau. I was all over, jumping around. And then the sheriff, Under Sheriff Shalari, came up to me at the time. He's like, "Hey, kid, I think you'd be good for patrol. We're going to send you to patrol." Be quite honest, patrol was terrible at the time, right? I'm not bad-mouthing the department, but everybody knows. At that time, here's your keys, go park, don't say a word, don't stop cars, don't do nothing. Just be present.
Go
And
sit in the park.
exactly. And that's what it was. And I was 23 years old. I was, in good shape. I wanted to work. And, it just kind of like wasn't working out for me. And I was miserable. Got sent back to the building. And then I worked criminal, family, landlord, tenant, all over the place for a while till I went to narcotics for the prosecutor's office. And shout to Captain Pacheco. He's retired now. He's the first one to give me an opportunity. He saw me at an event. And he goes, "Hey, man, I think you'd be great for narcotics. We're going to get you over." And I worked there for about 2 years and then came back and went back to patrol. But I tried to leave for the money reasons. I tried to leave for, I want to make a better life. But I'm going to tell you this. Everything happens for a reason. I wasn't able to leave, for reasons I don't want to really mention, right? Nothing crazy, but the opportunity wasn't presented to me. And I believe firmly today, if I were to be somewhere else, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now. It's
absolutely.
crazy. You get what I'm saying? Like some departments might try to handcuff me, but it's just I have a liberty and a freedom, and I'm blessed.
Or you might find an opportunity inside that department that sort of drives you away from what you're doing now.
Exactly.
It's
There
not
you go.
necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Like you might get put into a homicide investigation, which is a great gig, but
You're called out all hours of the night.
correct, you're not able to do, and that also could have taken away from time from your children and being that father that you always wanted to be. Now, you said you had gotten married before you were a cop.
Yes.
Yes. So when you get this crazy idea, because it sounds like you're making good money in Verizon, "Hey, hon, I'm going to go be a cop." What was your wife's reaction?
She was like, "Good, go get more money." She's like, "We need it."
So you married
At the time, so this is my first marriage. I'm married for a second time.
Okay.
I
Oh, you
made the
wouldn't be a
same
cop
mistake
unless you
twice.
were.
I
Yeah,
made
no
the
good.
same mistake twice. Yeah.
No, I tell
I'm joking, baby. I'm joking.
I tell my wife now. I'm taking the till death do us part a little bit more serious this time.
Yeah.
I got a shovel in the back, and a 3-foot hole because
Yeah.
I'm not digging holes hard.
Yeah.
I'll stay out of this conversation.
Yeah. So
Won't work for me.
So how do you know he's a good cop? Well, he's probably got some addictive problem, and he's been married at least twice. Yeah. You know.
Wow, that's crazy.
He's got an X
That's
somewhere.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was all for it. She was ready to go.
Yeah, she was all for it. Like, yeah, super supportive. And, yeah, I was fortunate, man, to get hired. And this is back when, you know, it was super competitive. I was like I had like a 96 score, and I was like number 76. It was like super competitive.
It got to a point where if you didn't get like a 99,
Yeah, no.
you weren't even considered.
Especially for Bayonne. I lived in Bayonne at the time. It was like 99. Don't even look if you're, you know, anywhere below a 98 with veteran status.
Yeah.
You know?
And you weren't veteran status.
No veteran status. No.
Well, so
He's a
you
veteran
got,
of the street, but not military.
so my math is off. So you got what 2006?
Yeah, 2006. Yep.
2006.
I'm in my 18th year.
Yeah, but so I'm like veteran status is a big thing. Actually, veteran status doesn't really mean much animore because they're all vets coming out because of the war. But I think it's going to, like when I got on, there wasn't a whole lot of vets because we weren't in anything active. Now it's a little bit different. There's just vet after vet. So unless you're a vet, it's going to be real tough to get the job. But while do you mind if I ask you about your first marriage?
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
So you get married, again, this fits into my statistic thing.
Yeah, here we go.
I got this weird statistic thing in my head. Those people who got married before they were a cop have a higher rate of divorce than those that got married after they became a cop. Because the woman kind of knows what she's getting involved with. Because this job changes you.
It does. 100%. 100%.
What do you think the way you changed? I'm not blaming one party or the other, but there's something in you that changed. It's natural that this job changes you. So if you could pinpoint it.
Oh, man. You know, to be honest, I became somewhat more attractive to women out there, right? So, like, you know, and you
Chicks
become
dig uniforms.
you know, badge bunnies. No disrespect to the females out there that
Holster
like cops.
sniffers.
The blue crotch. Yeah.
So that was tough for me, you know, dealing with the temptation, also wanting to hang out with the fellas and go out and go drinking, go hang out and just be around the fellas.
Hang out in the bar after the shift.
Exactly. Be around, you know, trying to fit in, you know, just trying to be part of that brotherhood. And that really affected what was going on at home and trying to be a Christian. So it counterproductive for me at the time.
It's a tough thing when you're trying to balance that life because you don't really know how to balance it. You're just doing the best you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens more times than not. You know,
Got that right.
it unfortunately happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you're when did you get married for the second time?
My wife, babe, don't be upset, but I think it's 13 years now. 13 years ago, we got married. So I was 29.
Bro, you got enough tattoos. You get it
Yeah.
tattooed right on your arm right there. So you never
This
forget.
year, actually, it makes 13 years, April 29th.
Okay.
So she'll be happy. I knew the date.
So your next
everything. Look at that.
Yeah.
your next stop is to the tattoo artist. You're going to get it tattooed right here. It's like, how long have we been married? Okay, we're good.
Gotcha.
We're good. So you get into, when did you start seeing the community aspect of police work?
Ironic as it may seem, it was in the courthouse. Working the criminal division. Shout to Judge D. Pascal, legendary. He's the GOAT. You know what I mean? Used to be the head prosecutor for the Hudson County for the prosecutor's office. But anyway, I worked alongside him. I saw so many cases, homicide, young kids coming in, gangs. And what I would do is, my approach was different, right? So I had an epiphany one day, or God spoke to me clearly, and I was depressed. I was really in a dark place because I had certain individuals, you know, on the job that were making my job more difficult.
Yeah.
They didn't understand me. We didn't, you know, and they were in positions of authority that I couldn't control, and I was bounced around. But then I was eventually put here, and when I was put here, God spoke to me and said, "Shine wherever I put you. Just shine." So what I did was I just started having conversations with every inmate I came across, and I'm being myself.
Wealth of knowledge.
Oh my God!
Inmates
It's
are a
like
wealth of knowledge.
unbelievable. I would walk in the bullpen. You know, we would keep them in the holding area. There'd be up to 20, whatever, in one, and I felt so good when I would walk in there, and they would be like, "Oh, Rivera, what's up, man?" Everybody, because every individual that I encountered, I made sure that I had a positive interaction. No matter how bad their day was, no matter how bad my day was, I made sure that I spoke to them like a human being. I didn't mistreat them. I explained everything to them. Listen, turn around for me, please, sir. step away, step out of the yellow box. I have to handcuff you. I would explain everything. I would give them certain privileges. You want to say hi to your mom. You want to, because sometimes the mothers can't make it, because whatever, to go see them. And I would give them common courtesy as a human being and show love and respect. And through that, I was doing community work. Next thing I knew, by the grace of God, man, I have, kids coming to, hey, what's up, man? Yo, you're awesome. Thank you for, But I will tell a story. There was a kid in Jersey City who, I don't remember exactly when this happened, but a Jersey City cop was doing surveillance on a house, right? There was a real bad drug problem in a specific area. This kid was doing surveillance for the drug, for the team, for the drug trafficking ring that was over there. But there was a cop that was doing surveillance, and this kid comes up to the car and has a gun. He's looking like, what's this car doing here? The cop has to hide in the back seat. And eventually there's a shooting that occurs. The kid loses his eyesight, okay? The kid gets shot in the head. He lives but loses his eyesight. This kid's trial is in my court, and I was empathetic for the mother because he got sentenced to jail. And I showed my empathy towards the mother. Believe it or not, there was some cops that were like, why would you do that? Why would you be nice to the mom? I'm like, dude,
She's
the
a
mother
mom.
doesn't,
Not the mom
exactly.
didn't do it.
She doesn't control his actions. She could teach him all the best things, give him as much value and provide the best setting for him. Just because of the demographic doesn't mean she's a bad person. And that to me bothered me because I said, when I took the job and I got interviewed, they asked me, why do I want to become a cop? And one of the reasons was I want to be a role model. I want to be somebody that's respected in my community.